Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we're going to do a Let's Play and full live review for Recreation Room VR, an app released on the Steam Store June 21st, 2022 for the HTC Vive, Valve Index, and the Oculus Rift. It released in early access, and I'm testing it out on the MetaQuest 2 using Link Cable. Recreation Room is basically a nature holodeck. A nature walking simulator, tourist destination app, relaxation app, whatever you want to call it. And it only retails for $3. I bought it on the release sale, 33% off, so I only paid $2. And I'm going to tell you guys, the $3 price for this is an absolute steal for what you're getting. When I bought this game, I didn't think much of it. I saw the store page video and the photos, and it just didn't look all that great to me. And you can see there's some issues here. I don't know. I don't know if you're seeing this on desktop, but there's some pop-in issue right here. And you can see the roots come out, and then it's just a little bit floating above the ground. But I absolutely love this app, and I highly recommend it. And the reason why is because I believe this is something truly innovative in VR, even though it may not appear so. I know this might look like just any other VR walking simulator. It's definitely not the best looking nature app or relaxation app. You know, there's some really good ones in VR that really look good. And if you're just looking to relax, maybe this isn't the best app for you. But for me, this app is something truly innovative, unique, and I'm going to give this one of the highest scores I've ever given any VR app, which may sound crazy to some of y'all, but hopefully I'll explain in this live video review why that's so, and maybe some of you will agree with me. I was blown away by this app when I played it earlier, and it literally brought me to tears. I played many VR nature walking simulators, a lot of them. And, you know, there's so many different experiences. You know, devs go for different things. And I want to say there's one called Deep States VR, and that one's like very evocative, you know, very artsy, and definitely one of the most memorable ones for me. There's also Mildred Sounder, you know, Iceland, which Caves Road is one of the developers that I like all his works. You know, he goes for ultra realism. Obviously, this is not ultra realism, although it does look realistic enough. But what's very innovative about this is that this is procedurally generated. Now, there's been other games that have procedural generation, so, you know, it's not... I'm not going to say this guy invented the wheel, because obviously he hasn't. Other VR games have done this. But what this person has done is they've done something with the nature walk simulator genre, and they've made basically a walk through the forest infinite. So if you play these nature walking simulators, as you know, and I played dozens of them at least. And they've always had this limitation of map size. So there's a boundary, usually either an invisible boundary or some visibly seen boundary, whether, you know, it's water, whether it's just, you know, a cliff being really high. But whether it's a visible or invisible boundary, there's an obvious boundary to the experience. It only has a set area that you can explore. What this app has done is it's removed that barrier from these nature walking simulators. I've never experienced another nature walking simulator that's done this, that's removed that barrier. And some of you may not think much of that, but Oh, by the way, let me show you this. I'm getting 89 frames per second average, so pretty steady 90 frames per second for the most part. Oh, and you see there's some some pollen, some butterflies or some leaves. I think they're leaves falling. So some pollen, some leaves falling. You hear the birds, although there's no like wildlife. You don't see birds, you don't see squirrels, you don't see anything like that. You do see some rocks, you see some grass, see different tree species. But what makes this truly unique is not just that it's infinite, because there's been other apps that do that in VR, but this developer actually has managed to make it look this good. It runs this smoothly, and there's just something about infinitely walking through a forest. You can get lost in the forest. I could just keep walking infinitely forward, and you wouldn't think so, but there is a lot of variety in the topography, in the elevations, in the types of vegetation that you see. You see here these, again, what are they supposed to be? I think they're falling leaves, but they might be like butterflies also flying. Now, like I said, it's not perfect. Obviously, it could be higher resolution. You're seeing there. Obviously, I see the little pollen here, but with the leaves or butterflies, it's not high resolution enough that I can honestly tell you what that's supposed to be. If it were higher resolution, I could probably tell you. And there's issues, like you've already seen the tree that's a little bit above the ground. There's some pop in. The sun does look really good. For the most part, the shadows do look good. But you'll see, like, if I stop here and look in the distance, you'll see some jaggies, some issues with the anti-aliasing. It is noticeable if you stop and really stare at it, and you'll see it on the edges of things. So it's not a perfect experience, but the fact that I can continue just walking through this forest and see this much visual variety within the forest is impressive. It's mind-blowing. It got me emotional just walking through this forest. And I had never experienced anything like that in VR. This is how I imagined the holodeck. Now, I'm a big Star Trek fan. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I've said that before in other videos. But, I'm a Star Trek The Next Generation, and fan. And obviously the holodeck is a big part of the Star Trek universe. And that's always been my dream, to have a real-life holodeck. Somewhere where you can escape. And for the first time ever in VR, I truly feel like you can escape to this forest. And that's because, like I said, the boundaries have been removed. Obviously, I do wish there was more variety and more higher resolution textures. So it's a little bit more realistic looking, but I like to see like some creeks, maybe a lake, a river, maybe some caves. Some wildlife, it doesn't have to have too much wildlife, but something, maybe a bird flying in the air, maybe a squirrel climbing up a tree. I think that would be very awesome. There are like mushrooms on the ground, though. I don't know if we've come across one yet, but there are mushrooms. We'll eventually get to one. But you see just all the trees, how different sizes, different shapes, different species. And you see how the grass looks different in different areas, the ground. You see rocks. You see, like, the branches look different. There's just... This keeps it being very special, something truly innovative in VR. And this app has a few positive reviews, but obviously it didn't sell well. Not upon initial release. It's already off the original release sale. It does have full locomotion and snap churning, and on my RTX 3080 I am getting about 90 frames per second. I did increase the LOD bias. You could decrease it if you're having issues with the frame rate. As you can see here, this is you see that the roots suddenly, there's pop in there, the roots suddenly cough, and it's a little bit above the ground as well. So yeah, obviously it's not perfect, but my God, it's mind-blowing nonetheless. I've never experienced anything like this in VR before. There's other procedurally generated worlds in VR. There's other games that have this, but I've never been able to walk in a forest that looks this good and just walk infinitely. And the boundaries have been removed. And I don't know, maybe it's just me because I've played so many of these experiences, but that boundary being removed has increased the immersion factor for me. Like, it's made this something like the holodeck. Finally, in VR. I've never seen this before in VR. Like I said, there are other VR games that do have procedurally generated worlds that are pretty big. But there's been, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's ever been one where the environment looks this good. Like I said, not the best looking forest I've ever seen, but I think it looks really good. I think there's an issue here. I don't know what this is. There's some kind of graphical glitch here. I don't know what this is supposed to be. That's weird. It's like some kind of barrier too. But obviously we can still walk past it, so definitely a graphical glitch of some kind. I'm not sure what was supposed to be there, but obviously some kind of bug there. And like I said, when I first played this, and I was just walking through the forest, and I kept walking, and I kept walking, and I kept walking, and I kept seeing new sights, and I felt like I was really in a forest because there was no boundary. I got very emotional, and I was like, my mouse was on the floor. I just couldn't believe it, from this $3 app. So I highly recommend this app, and I'm going to give this app one of the highest scores I've ever given any app. It's not perfect, but this kind of reminds me of Boneworks. And I know Boneworks and this experience don't have much in common, but Boneworks was, when it was first released, I played it, and it wasn't perfect either. It had lots of issues. But when I played it, I understood that Boneworks was a true innovation in VR. And I think, like Boneworks, this is a true innovation in VR. It's done something that I didn't know was possible in VR, which is an infinite world that looks this good. And it makes me excited for the future of devs in the future making something like this with even higher fidelity graphics. Maybe on the Unreal Engine 5 in VR with higher resolution textures, where it's difficult to tell the difference between a real life and VR. That's the dream, and an endless area, just like the holodeck in Star Trek. That's what I'm excited for. This is why I'm so emotional. And I thought, in retrospect, that even though I gave Boneworks as my game of the year, I think I rated it too low. I should have rated it higher. And I'm not going to do the mistake with this app. I like to reward innovation in VR, even though this is flawed. And like I said, Boneworks is flawed, and that's why I didn't score it higher. But in retrospect, I should have scored it higher. So I have the same logic with this app. Now, it's not perfect. You've seen some of the issues just in my video Let's Play. But what it does is very special. And for $3, I think it deserves a 9 out of 10. One of the highest ratings I've ever given any VR app or experience. So what I'm saying is that anybody watching this video, you need to buy this. If you've ever dreamed of the holodeck in Star Trek, and buy this. It's only $3. Developer, this is an early access. Developer plans to add more environments. Right now, you only have this one. You have 3 different seed types. Although, to be honest with you guys, didn't notice a difference between the 3 different seed types. I don't really know that brings really much difference to this. Maybe the developer can explain to me how the 3 different seed types are. So if the developer is watching my video, you want to comment on that. But like I said, you only have full locomotion and snap turning. There is no other locomotion method. You only have the forest environment. But, I've been walking throughout this video, and I've basically been following the sun because I want to keep walking in a straight line towards the sun. And as you can see, the forest, still a lot of variety in it. This is endless variety. You can get lost in this forest. And if you want to get lost in the forest, buy this. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. This has been my Let's Play and full live review for Recreation Room. I guess a pun on Rec Room, the other VR game. But I actually like this more than Rec Room. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. This has been my video review for Recreation Room. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have a wonderful day. Happy 4th of July. Tomorrow. Goodbye.